My fiancée broke up with me after her coworkers convinced her I wasn't in her league, but she regretted it the next day. I'm a 29-year-old guy, and up until this morning, I thought I had the perfect life. My fiancée, Clara, and I had been together for 5 years, and we were just 3 months away from our wedding. She was everything to me, smart, beautiful, and ambitious. But all of that changed in a single conversation. It started like any other day. I woke up early, made breakfast for Clara, and kissed her goodbye as she left for work. But when she came home that evening, something was off. She was quiet, distant, and wouldn't meet my eyes. I asked her what was wrong, and that's when she dropped the bomb. "We need to talk," she said, her voice trembling. "I don't think we're right for each other anymore." I was stunned. "What are you talking about?" I asked. "We're getting married in 3 months. She hesitated, then told me the truth. Her coworkers, especially her so-called best friend at work, Rachel, had been telling her for months that she was out of my league. They said I wasn't ambitious enough, that I didn't make enough money, and that she deserved someone better. And after months of their constant pressure, she had finally caved. "I'm sorry," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I just don't think this is going to work." I was devastated. 5 years of love, trust, and planning, gone, just like that. I tried to reason with her, to remind her of everything we'd built together, but she wouldn't listen. "It's not you," she kept saying. "It's just, I need more." And with that, she left, saying she needed space. At first, I was heartbroken. After Clara left, I sat on the couch, staring at the engagement ring she'd tossed on the coffee table like it was a piece of junk. I was hurt, sure, but more than that, I was pissed. How could she throw away 5 years because of what some coworkers said? And who the hell did Rachel think she was, poisoning Clara's mind like that? I needed answers, and I wasn't going to get them by sitting around feeling sorry for myself. That's when I remembered something Clara had told me months ago. She used the same password for everything. "It's just easier," she'd said, rolling her eyes when I warned her about cybersecurity. I grabbed my laptop, opened her email, and typed in her go-to password, Clara123. Bingo. I was in. At first, I didn't know what I was looking for. I just clicked through her emails, hoping to find something, anything, that would explain why she dumped me. And then I found it. A chain of messages between Clara, Rachel, and Mark. It was like stumbling into a soap opera. Rachel's messages were the worst. She'd been feeding Clara a steady diet of lies about me for months. "He's holding you back," she wrote in one email. "You're way out of his league. You deserve someone like Mark, someone who can keep up with you." In another message, she even suggested that Clara test the waters with Mark to see if there was a spark. I couldn't believe what I was reading. Rachel wasn't just Clara's friend, she was her personal life coach, and she was terrible at it. Next, I found the messages between Clara and Mark. They weren't exactly love letters, but they were flirty enough to make my blood boil. Mark would send her cheesy compliments like, "You're the smartest person in the room and the prettiest," and Clara would respond with laughing emojis and "You're too much." It wasn't an affair. Not yet, anyway. But it was clear they were testing the boundaries. And the worst part? Clara had saved all these messages, like they were some kind of trophy. But the real goldmine was the group chat between Clara, Rachel, and Mark. They spent hours trash-talking their managers, calling them incompetent, clueless, and, my personal favorite, a walking HR violation. They even joked about starting a betting pool on which manager would get fired first. It was hilarious, but it was also incredibly stupid. If their bosses ever saw these messages, they'd be toast. As I scrolled through the messages, a plan started to form in my mind. Clara had dumped me because Rachel convinced her I wasn't good enough. Well, I was about to show them just how good I was. I copied all the messages, Rachel's manipulation, Clara and Mark's flirting, and their manager's roast session, and saved them to a folder. Then I logged into Clara's work account and checked the calendar. Perfect. There was a company-wide virtual meeting scheduled for that afternoon. It was the ideal opportunity to drop my little bombshell. But first, I needed to make sure Clara and Rachel didn't suspect a thing. I sent Clara a text, pretending to be heartbroken. "I can't believe this is happening. I thought we were forever." She responded with a generic, "I'm sorry, but this is for the best." I rolled my eyes and typed back, I just need some time to process. Then I muted her notifications and got to work. I spent the next few hours preparing for the big reveal. I created a fake email account, uploaded the messages to a shared drive, and drafted an anonymous email to the CEO. The subject line was simple: a matter of company integrity. I scheduled the email to send during the meeting when everyone would be online. After Clara left for work the next morning, I sat on the couch, staring at the empty space where her belongings used to be. She'd come home the night before, packed her things in silence, and left without saying a word. I didn't say anything either. What was there to say? She'd made her choice, and now it was my turn to make mine. I grabbed my laptop and opened the draft of the anonymous email I'd prepared the night before. The subject line read, "A matter of company integrity." Attached were screenshots of the messages between Clara, Rachel, and Mark. Rachel's manipulation, Clara and Mark's flirting, and their brutal trash-talking of their managers. I scheduled the email to send at 10 a.m., right in the middle of the company's weekly virtual meeting. Then I texted my best friend, Ethan, who worked in the same company. "Something big is about to go down. Keep me updated." At 10 a.m., I got a text from Ethan. "Dude, what did you do? The CEO just got an email with some crazy screenshots." I smiled and replied, "Just watch." Over the next hour, Ethan sent me a play-by-play of the meeting. The CEO had opened the email during the meeting and immediately called out Clara, Rachel, and Mark. He read excerpts from the messages aloud, his voice growing angrier with each word. "Is this how you represent this company?" he demanded. "Manipulating each other, flirting on company time, and insulting your managers? This is unacceptable." Ethan's texts were hilarious. "Clara looks like she's about to pass out. Rachel is trying to blame Mark, and Mark is just sitting there like a deer in headlights. This is the best meeting ever." By the end of the meeting, the CEO had made his decision. Clara was fired on the spot for violating company policies. Rachel was demoted and put on probation for creating a toxic work environment. And Mark? He resigned before the CEO could fire him, muttering something about pursuing other opportunities. Ethan sent me a final text. "You're a legend. This is going down in company history." I laughed and put my phone down. Phase 1 of my revenge was complete. Now it was time for Phase 2. Clara came home that afternoon, her face pale and her eyes red from crying. She walked into the living room, where I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone like nothing had happened. "Did you do this?" she asked, her voice shaking. I looked up, pretending to be confused. "Do what?" She threw her phone on the coffee table, the screen displaying the leaked messages. "This! Did you leak these?" I shrugged and said, "Why would I do that? I'm just the guy who's not in your league, remember?" Clara stared at me, her eyes narrowing. "You did this. I know you did." I leaned back on the couch and smiled. "Prove it." She opened her mouth to argue, but no words came out. She knew she couldn't prove anything, and even if she could, she had bigger problems to worry about. Later that evening, Clara called me, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry," she said. "I made a mistake. Can we talk about this?" I paused for a moment, then said, "Sure, come over." When she arrived, I sat her down and handed her a cup of tea. She looked hopeful, like she thought I was going to forgive her. That's when I dropped the bomb. "I leaked the messages," I said, my voice calm and steady. Clara's eyes widened in shock. "You, what?" I leaned forward and smiled. "Yeah, it was me. I got into your account, leaked the messages, and watched the whole thing blow up. And let me tell you, it was so worth it." Clara was speechless, but I wasn't done. "Oh, and by the way, you forgot some of your stuff here yesterday. I packed them for you while you were at work. It's in a box by the door. Don't worry, I didn't throw it out. I'm not a monster, just a guy who knows how to hold a grudge." Clara sat there, staring at me like I just told her the sky was green. Her mouth opened and closed a few times, but no words came out. Finally, she managed to stammer. "Why? Why would you do this?" I leaned back on the couch, crossing my arms, and said, "Why did you dump me because Rachel said I wasn't good enough? Why did you flirt with Mark behind my back? Why did you trash talk your managers like a bunch of high school mean girls? You made your choices, Clara. And now you're dealing with the consequences." She started crying again, but this time, I didn't feel an ounce of sympathy. "You ruined my life," she sobbed. I laughed, actually laughed. and said, "No, Clara, you ruined your own life." I just gave it a little push. Before she left, I handed her the box of her belongings. "Oh, and one more thing," I said, pulling out a small envelope. "This is for you." She opened it and found a copy of the leaked messages, printed out and neatly stapled. "Consider it a souvenir," I said with a smirk. "Something to remember me by." Clara looked at me like I was a stranger, and maybe I was. The guy she dumped that morning wouldn't have done something like this. But that guy was gone, and I wasn't sorry about it. After Clara left, I sat down and poured myself a drink. I knew what I'd done was unethical, maybe even a little unhinged, but I didn't care. Clara, Rachel, and Mark had messed with the wrong person, and now they were paying the price. A few days later, I got a text from Ethan. "Dude, you're a legend. People are still talking about what happened. Clara's applying for jobs, Rachel's on thin ice, and Mark's LinkedIn profile says he's taking a break to focus on personal growth." I laughed and replied, "Sounds like everyone got what they deserved." As for me, I moved on. I started dating again, and I even met someone who actually appreciated me for who I was. We've been together for a few months now, and it's been great. No drama, no manipulation, just two people who actually like each other. Who would have thought? Looking back, I don't regret what I did. Clara, Rachel, and Mark brought it on themselves, and I was just the guy who held up the mirror. Life's too short to let people walk all over you, and sometimes you've got to fight fire with fire. Or in my case, with a well-timed email and a little bit of sarcasm.